Welcome back to our lifestyle lesson. We've been discussing how the choices that you make both now and in the future can affect the type of life that you are looking to live. The choices on what type of job you want to have, where you want to live. These choices and the education involved in the type of job that you have and where you want to live, they affect the amount of money that you're going to make. And that is going to affect how you live your life. Are you going to have money left over after all of your expenses for personal enjoyment, like going out to the movie theater and shopping? Or are you not going to have a lot of money left over at the end of the month? Go ahead and turn in your student notebook to activity 3-11, My Values at Work. In the end of our last lesson, I asked you to complete the work setting preference task, and we kind of alluded that we were going to be working on this activity next. So what this activity is asking you to do is choose 3 of your preferences from the work setting preference task, write them down in the spaces provided, and explain why they're important to you. When choosing a job or when choosing between multiple jobs, if you have that option, what are some things that you are going to look for in the job that you choose? One value that you choose is that you have daytime hours so that your job takes place during the daytime. And why that might be important to you is because you want to be able to spend time with your family. And if your kids are going to school, that way you're working when your kids are at school, and when they're home, you're at home too. So that's one value that could be important to you. So I've given you one example of my criteria in the workplace and why it's important. You need to finish and come up with 3 of your own. I'm going to encourage you to use a different one than what I've given you, or if you do really want daytime hours, put why it's important in your own words. So go ahead, pause this video. You can work on this activity, and when you're done, I'll explain our next procedure. Now that you've finished with this activity, I hope you can see that taking into account your personal work preferences, really they're going to help you increase satisfaction in your job. All right, so we've talked about your work preferences. Next, we're going to move into where you want to work. Where do you want to live? You've already looked at a map of Virginia as well as a map of the United States, and you've located a few places that you would be interested in living after you graduate high school. Whether you choose to stay where you are or you choose to move to a new town, there are a few things that you really do need to consider before you can figure out if you make a leap to get a job in a new town or the town that you're already in. One of those is the cost of living. Can you actually afford to live where it is that your job is? The cost of living is going to include your rent, the taxes that you have to pay, transportation to get around town and to your work. It's also going to include insurance, your utilities, so like water and electricity, and also food in the area. So imagine that you had a job that paid $30,000 a year. Now, to any high schooler, that's a good amount of money. And if you live in a small community, $30,000 is quite a good amount of money. But if you chose to move to a large city, like a place like San Francisco or New York City, that $30,000 could be quite difficult to live on in a larger town. So whether you stay or go, or you move to a new community or stay where you are, check out the cost of living. You also need to look at the average salary. Looking at the average salary of communities around you is going to make sure that you have the income that you need to support your lifestyle. Can you get to work? An average salary takes the highest and the lowest and even the middle salaries of people who live in that area. It adds them all together and kind of figures out the middle number. So areas with a higher cost of living, like cities, they're usually going to offer higher salaries. But the supply and demand for workers in the local job market, that also plays a role too. So if there's a shortage for workers, that's going to push salaries higher. For instance, when I became a teacher, there was a shortage of teachers. Every school needed specific types of teachers. And so anybody could really get a job if they were looking hard enough and they were good at what they did. Well, pretty soon, to fill all those needs, a lot of people became qualified teachers. And now we're at a point where there are a lot of qualified teachers, but not a lot of teacher job openings. So an excess of your qualified workers, that's going to drive salaries down, or it could have an impact on the average salary in the area. So when you're thinking about leaving or staying, check out the cost of living, check out the average salaries, and you also need to look into moving costs. Even do-it-yourself movers, you might have to rent a van, or you have to buy boxes. You could even have to pay deposits for a new place and utilities and rent storage. So do you have enough money to cover the cost of moving? So your lifestyle could even change if you move away. If you have a family and you live close to family and you have your own children, a lot of young adults have their parents watch their kids while they go to work. So there might be some free house or free childcare. Perhaps rather than going to the mechanic every time that you need an oil change, you have a friend that can take care of your car maintenance, or you know people who can take care of your house repairs. If you move to a new community and you don't have those friends, you're also going to have to budget in those life expenses. Moving to a new town could also require a reduced income while you look for a job in that new location. So your lifestyle is also going to change. So what we're going to look at right now is, do the benefits of moving to a new location outweigh the costs? You can see that there can be quite an expensive cost to moving to a new place. But do the benefits of higher salary and work preferences that fit your lifestyle and your needs, will that outweigh the cost of moving? So we're actually going to explore that idea, that question right now. I want you to turn into your student notebook to the task, should I stay or should I go? So should I stay or should I go? It looks like this. And the directions are midway down the page. It says that Kevin doesn't care for cold winters, so he's thinking about moving to a warmer climate in a few years. His brother suggests that he research the cost of living before setting his mind on moving to another city. So your job is going to be to search for an online cost of living calculator, and I will give you one, and we're going to help Kevin compare the cost of living in Madison, Wisconsin, to living in San Diego, California. And based on the data that you find and that you research, which city do you think is the better option for Kevin and why? So the website that I'm going to encourage you to go to is bestplaces.net. bestplaces.net. So bestplaces.net, when you type in the web link, it should look something like this. We're going to use the research tools, and we're going to scroll down to city compare. We're going to compare two cities. The first city that we're going to compare, so where it says enter first place, would be Madison, Wisconsin, and you can put WI for the state abbreviation. The second place is San Diego, California, and CA is going to be the abbreviation for California, the state. So press compare once you have that typed in, and it's going to ask you to select from multiple results for San Diego, because there's 3 different San Diegos in California. So we just want the first one, San Diego, California, and we're going to compare the cost of living. All right, so when the page loads, you are going to see a lot of cost of living comparison highlights and some numbers. So let's see what our worksheet is asking us for. So the first thing we need is the name of the town. The name of the town is Madison, Wisconsin, and our dream town is San Diego, California. And the job position, Kevin wants to be a doctor. So I'm just going to put doctor in both of these, if I can spell it. I'm going to put that in both of these positions right here. So we're going to be looking around. We might skip around in these boxes a little bit between the salaries and the cost of living, but let's see what information we can find back at this page. So it says that San Diego is 40.9% more expensive than Madison. But come down to the cost of living. It's giving us the overall cost of living right here. It says that Madison is $110 to San Diego's $166. And these aren't actually money. We're looking at indexes. But it says the United States on average, the overall cost of living would be $100. In Madison, Wisconsin, you're going to pay about $10 more compared to San Diego, where you're going to be paying $166. We can add that information into our overall cost of living, 110 and 166. You can also find the difference in cost of living on this page as well. It says that San Diego is 40.9% more expensive. So in San Diego, for the difference in cost of living, I'm going to put 49. I'm actually just going to put 50% more expensive in here. To find more information about salaries and the difference in average salaries, the unemployment rate, growth rate of jobs, and income tax rate, we're going to have to go to a different page. So if you scroll up, we need to look, looking at this checklist, we need to look at the jobs. So we're at cost of living. Go ahead and click on jobs. And this is going to kind of compare the economy, comparing Madison to San Diego. So it gives you the employment rate. It also gives you future job growth and income taxes. So you can go ahead and fill that out on your page right now. All right, so the unemployment rates, that is the percentage of people who are qualified to work who currently are not working in those cities. So in Madison, 3.4% of the population do not have jobs. In San Diego, 4.9%. So 5% of the individuals living there do not have jobs. When we look at future job growth rate, we're looking at a 40% increase in Madison compared to a 39.5% increase, so about another 40% increase in San Diego. And income taxes, whereas Madison is 6.2%, San Diego has an income tax of 8%. So what do these numbers mean? Well, so far, more people are without jobs in San Diego than they are in Madison. The job growth rate is about the same in both areas, and you're going to be paying higher taxes, higher income taxes in San Diego than in Madison. Probably the most important thing to look at is the difference in the average salary. The difference in the average salary, it says right here, here's the biggest comparison highlight. The household income in Madison is 20% less than it is in San Diego, and it's only 1% above the national average. So the difference in the national average, Madison is 1% above the national average. And if we do a little math, that means that San Diego is 21% above the national average. All right, so looking at these numbers, the question is, based on the data, do you think that Kevin should live in his current town of Madison, Wisconsin, or San Diego, California, and why? So on the back of this page, I'm going to have you write a paragraph explaining your choices as to which is better for Kevin. Is it better for him to stay in his current town, or is it better for him to move to his dream town? Use the information that's provided here, as well as your understanding of income taxes and average salaries to make your decision. There's no right or wrong answer as long as you can defend your choice. That is all the time that we have for in today's lesson. So once you're finished with this, we'll just have to wait until next time when we can talk a little bit more about your lifestyle and choosing a town of your own. So thanks so much for tuning in this time, and I'll catch you at another time.